me share my screen. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, we see your PowerPoint.
Okay, good. So I have a couple of different things. I'm gonna do again a live show for everyone so they can see it. But we'll start PowerPoint. This is on Amazon Web Services. And it's funny because we were talking about Google right before this started, and this is what Amazon can't do for you. We do use Amazon Web Services within Firehose to deploy for our images for a couple of our apps. Flickster, I think, is the one that really starts using it. When you go into Amazon Web Services, and this is pointed out really succinctly in our program, that S3 right here is the only one that we are actually using. I will show you what it looks like when you go into S3. Oh, hi, Colin. Okay, so you will actually see all the services listed on here. Find S3. Pull up S3, create a bucket. This bucket will be what actually hosts your images, your videos, and anything that you're going to use in your application. It's very simple to create that bucket. You're going to put a name. Under here, a region. And you can leave the region we used US standard, actually, I think, in the Firehose project in our Flickster. And no character. So we'll do lightning talks. I can't spell lightning. Holy cow, it doesn't like any of the words that I'm using here, so we'll try this. Now there is a bucket that has lightning talks on here. I will move this off of the screen. And it has the region, the date. So when you set up your, and I will pull up Sublime. When you set up your account, you will want to have all this information. So when you pull up your Sublime, it's not going to pull up, of course. Let me get the Sublime up. Sorry about that. Okay, when you pull up your Sublime and open your Vagrant and pull up Flickster in your config. And now, of course, I don't remember which one it's in. There we go. In your application.yml YAML file, you will actually have to put the access key, the secret key, what bucket you have, and the region that you are using from your information that's right here. And you can have everything will be on here so that you can see what you will need for your application. Fortunately or unfortunately, the Amazon Web Services actually is a lot larger than just S3. So I can go back into the PowerPoint. Who needs and uses Amazon Web Services? Startups. The benefits of building and scaling your startup. There are special perks for startups, and they have tons of them. They allow you to have a couple of years free if you need it, depending on how well or badly your startup does. Numerous ways to lower costs. You can deploy to mobile very quickly and very easily. And they're global comes standard. So everything that Amazon offers you for startups, I mean, you get everything for a year for free, at least to start. Enterprises, large enterprises use Amazon Web Services also, because they can focus on the needs of the enterprise and not the infrastructure. It's trusted and secure. There's a complete platform, rapid innovation, global footprint, built for a hybrid cloud, and it has built-in auditing and compliance. Benefits of using Amazon Web Services. It offers a broad set of global compute, storage, database, analytics, application, and deployment services that help organizations move faster, lower costs, and scale operations. Basically, it's one-stop shopping for anything that you want to do. If you want to set up a web app, it can be done. If you want just a virtual server, kind of like the VMS that we have set up, it can be done. If you want, there are out-of-the-box solutions, there are in-the-box solutions, there are totally customizable, and everything in between. It's easy to use. It's existing and software as a service based. It's reliable and scalable, flexible. You can select the operating system, the programming language, the web app platform, and the database for your needs. And I will go through setting up another one to show you how to set up a Ruby site very quickly. And they have sample sites so that you can pull in, you can see what it does, unless you want to go ahead and pull in, like I went ahead and pulled in my Flickster app just to see how long it took and what it took to set up. Additional benefits include that it's cost effective. You only pay for what you use. There's no long-term contracts or commitments. And it has different physical, operational, and software measures that help keep web services secure. A lot of the things that you don't even know run, they have Amazon servers and systems in the background. The infrastructure services for the computing, they use virtual services, containers, one-click web app deployment, auto-scaling, load balancing. They also have storage and content delivery, where they object storage, block storage, file system storage, data transport, integrated storage. Database, different kinds of databases, relational, they do database migration, NoSQL, caching, data warehousing, networking. They have virtual private cloud, direct connections, DNS. I'll show you some of the DNS. I'll show you the 4 most popular services that they use with Amazon Web Services. They also do analytics, Hadoop, data pipelines, Elasticsearch, streamlined data, machine learning, business intelligence, data warehouse. As you can tell, you could do on each of these, you could probably have a 7-minute talk on all of them. So it's a large scale operation that can have applications for anything. If you want to be a full stack developer, you can work with Amazon Web Solutions. If you have a large company, a startup, a one-man business, there's a solution for you and a price range that you can fit in. For the enterprise applications, they have desktop virtualization, email and calendaring, document sharing and feedback. And I don't know if it's any easier or better than Google, Colin, that we were talking about. So I'm assuming from the reviews and from just the stuff that I've done with it that it's pretty close, but I kind of like Google, so we'll have to see. Maybe we'll have a competition between Google and Amazon. They also do mobile services, API management, app testing, mobile analytics. And just like Google, there are a lot of analytics that Amazon does. You can see the number of people that are on your site, the click-through, anything you want to have with analytics, you can get an answer on. The number of people that are clicking through to the Firehose project. Increased developer productivity, and this is a big one. Developer tools, they have source code management, code deployment, and continuous delivery. Management tools, they have everything from CloudWatch to service catalogs and advisors to help you with the management of any of the issues that you have. Security, they have the firewalls, security assessment. They will come in and use their systems to help you assess if you have any security risks and help plug the holes if you need them. That's actually, even with the free tier that you have, that's available for you. Application services, obviously email, search, app streaming, API management, queuing, global network of regions. And one of the things that we had to do for the S3 was pick which region we were using. And the reason that they do that is they actually have, so that it automatically will go to the region that you have the least amount of lag and the quickest deployment of your website. But there are times when it makes sense to choose a region and time when it makes sense to let the system choose the region for you. And each of these areas, there are servers with your site on a redundant server in redundant different systems. So if one site goes down, there is absolutely no time between the site going down in one area and having it up on another area. They actually have a 99.95% service contract with you. And if it goes down for any more than that, I think basically the bottom's probably dropped out of the world or something. EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. These are 4 of the basic tenets that people use on Amazon Web Services. This one provides resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It's designed to scale cloud computing for developers. It reduces the time required to obtain and boot new server instances, complete control of your computing resources. Like Vagrant is set up, and Heroku are set up so that it's in the box, everything is in there. Oh wow, that's really fast. Oh, quit dinging me. So there's a whole bunch more on here, but I will show you the easy way. It shows you, it takes less than 30 seconds for you to deploy to, let me pull this out here, for you to deploy to the Amazon servers. And I actually did a screenshot so that I could show you what this looks like when you deploy it. Doesn't like that one. Wrong screenshot. This one. There we go. Okay, it took me less than 3 minutes to deploy to BEANSTALK, which is one of the other places. And Colin will have all of this talk. I have, I think, probably 25 more slides on here available. So Colin will have this for you if you have any questions. But the Elastic BEANSTALK is just like our Heroku. It's not as customizable as the EC2, but basically you can deploy your app or any app that you want, or use one of their apps just to see how long it takes, which is what I did. First time I went through, and it took 3 minutes to deploy their app. And I figured that they were cheating me, so I wanted to see how long it would actually take to put up one of the apps that we'd created with Firehose. And it took less than 2 minutes to have everything and to put Flickster out on the web. And it's just, instead of having .heroku.com, it ends up with elasticbeanstalk.com, so that you can have, other people see it. And they have different, let me show you real fast. Oh, whoops, that would be the actual page, not here. When you are trying to deploy to here, let me sign in, and you pull up Elastic BEANSTALK, there are create new applications. The first thing you're going to do is just choose the name, and then you're going to do the web server environment. Here's where you can choose the platforms. These are all pre-configured. So you got Node, JavaScript, PHP, Python, Ruby, Tomcat, Java, Go, generic Docker for those of you that use Docker. But you just click on Ruby, There's 2 different environment types that you can do: a single instance or load balancing and auto scaling. And basically it's just a click through, and it takes about 30 seconds to go through all this. You don't actually need anything more than what I just did, and it pulls up your first application. And this shows you how the health is on that application, how long it took, the deployment, and everything that it did to launch your site. But that's just Ruby, and there is a way to do a Ruby on Rails in there. But the rest of the PowerPoint, like I said, will be available because there are benefits to each of them. There are also, just like last time when I did a talk, there were anybody that's in school that still has a school email address can get an Amazon, get all of the services, not just the free tier, for free, as long as you're government or a nonprofit or in education. So there are, like I said, there's a lot more slides here. So if you want to go ahead and go through the slides on your own, it'll be available. It just talks about the S3, which is what we used to store. No minimum fee. You only pay for what you use, but we got that for the free tier. The S3, 99.9% of the objects that you have can go into the images and the videos that we have. Very little cannot be stored within there. You can put anything that you want in there. There are also events. If someone uploads or something is uploaded to there, it can trigger a workflow to alert you, and another part of your site will actually do something else. So if there's a pay that you want or something done, you can do that all through the S3. All of these also integrate together. So if you use the storage along with the BEANSTALK, which is like our Heroku, everything would actually be out there on Amazon. Benefits to all of these. The other one is the Route 53, which is just like GoDaddy. It also helps, it shows users how to translate the name, like the Firehose project, to the actual IP address of a Firehose, which is 104.236.116.26, which is the actual DNS of the Firehose. So it's just like GoDaddy. It does the hosting there, it does domain hosting, it does, everything that GoDaddy does. I'm done now. Okay, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that's included in the pricing. So now I'm done. Stop sharing the screen.
Success. So that was an awesome talk. Super interesting stuff. I'm curious if, so you've deployed Rails apps to the Elastic Beanstalk.
I did.
How are you able to go into like the Rails console, or is there any way to do something like that?
I haven't gotten that far yet. You can, it allows you to go into Git to pull the stuff into the Elastic Beanstalk. And you don't have to use Git if you want to deploy right through Amazon. They have their own little code storage area, but I kind of like Git since we learned how to do that. But I would assume that with ease of the use that you can there's probably a Rails console that you can use in there. I haven't tried it yet.
Interesting. Super cool. It's super interesting. I looked into Elastic Beanstalk a while ago, and it wasn't as flexible as it is now. So it's super interesting to see.
Yeah, it's really, I between the EC2 and the Electric Bean, just because it's already out of the box and ready to go. The thing about the EC2 is it's more customizable. So that may be something for somebody who's a little bit more advanced. But those of us that are just starting out, the Beanstalk is a great tool.
Cool. Good stuff. Does anybody else have any other questions for Diane?
Did you try the EC2?
I did try the EC. Well, I set up the EC2 and started to go through it. It just took a lot longer. And when I was trying to get it set up, it was like, this could take a while. But it didn't tell you what a while was. And by the time I left and came back, it had done it. But it didn't, like with the Beanstalk, it actually showed each step that it went through. And the EC2 didn't do that. So I honestly don't know how long it took or when it finished or anything else. But my husband, because he's better at
with
coding than I am.
with EC2, you have to actually go in, install Ruby. I mean, I think you can get pre-compiled, but I was playing with EC2 for a while versus Beanstalk, and if you are not a sysadmin, if you don't deal with servers, if you don't deal with Linux that often, go with Beanstalk. Because granted, you get full control with EC2, but it is not for the faint of heart. You get no GUI environment, so it's all 100% console. You can set up a GUI, but it's a pain and not worth it. But
And I think that that's actually on some of the boards that I went to on like web appers. They were talking about the fact that there isn't a GUI, and so they are working on it. And every day they come up with something new. So this is a ever-changing environment. Something changes from 1 week to the next. Actually, they added a couple of different benefits from last Thursday through today. So I went in and added. So the PowerPoint is updated today based on the new things that they added to Beanstalk.
Cool. Super good stuff. Does anybody else have any other questions for Diane?
I had to go through it too fast, and you dinged me.
I'm sorry.
Hey, 7 minutes.
I know. Thanks, Marco. Go back to stuffing envelopes.
Good stuff. So super good talk. I learned quite a bit. I think Elastic Beanstalk is actually a lot more interesting than I thought it was initially. I'll have to check that out.
You'll have to look because there's a lot more stuff that I have in that PowerPoint, so you can see it. And I also have links to things if you want to look at some of the other information.
Perfect. Yeah, we can add that to the site and like have the slides up on there right underneath the video. So
cool.
Perfect. Good stuff. So Joe, I think you're up next to give us an overview on Atom.
Yep, that's me. This is going to be relatively quick. Most of it's aren't going to be a lot of slides. I'm really just going to be going into the app. But here it is. Everyone see that?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, brief introduction to Atom. What is Atom? Atom's essentially another text editor similar to Sublime. It's only about, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but 2 years old or 3 years old. And essentially it's very hackable. They describe it, what GitHub describes it as, is Atom is a text editor that's modern, approachable, yet hackable to the core. Tool you can customize to do anything, but also use productively without ever touching a config file. Atom is open source, which I'll get into later because there's a bunch of packages and installations available. Atom is slower than Sublime. One of the main complaints about Atom is that it takes like 5 seconds to load up. It'll bog down if you're doing like multi-line select or something of that nature. I think the positives outweigh the negatives in this instance. And part of the reason for that is Atom is a web hybrid based on Electron, unlike Sublime, which is an application written in C++. So it has JavaScript, it has CoffeeScript, it has a bunch of other languages built into it already. So here is my Atom. And right now, this is a new app I'm working on for my personal website. Now, the first thing you can probably notice is this right here on the left. These yellow folders are Git differences. So as you can see, like in this folder right here, you can tell by right here, I actually deleted 2 lines. So that's one advantage, is that in Atom, that's automatically built in. Another thing, now this is where Atom really shines, is all the packages. Now if I go into Preferences, I go into Packages. These are all the current themes that I actually have installed. I have Auto Indent, Color Picker, and a bunch of other stuff. A couple linters. Minimap, which is this guy right here, which on a larger file, like this one, like my views, like that, I can just scroll up and down part of the, like I said, part of the whole great thing about Atom is all the packages available. One of the packages that are available is like, let's say, HTML to HAML. So if you do Shift Command P, if you do right here, Shift Command P, if I select all, Shift Command P, and then type in HTML to HAML, I don't know what, oh, there it is. That's part of the problem with Atom is it's kind of slow. Like on an instance like that with something that's 158 lines, and I didn't even select everything. But as you can see, all these things change. All this changed to HAML, and that's based off a Heroku app that's online. It's just kind of stuff that you have that will just make it a lot easier for you. Instead of going to a website, you can just click a key. And as you can see, this little thing on the left is get differences. So all these lines haven't been pushed to GitHub yet. Another cool thing on Atom is called Color Picker. There's Color Picker and there's Pigments. What Pigments does is, as you can see on all these colors, it actually shows me the color. And if I were to go to right click on Color Picker, and I can actually change the color just by doing this and clicking it. A couple smaller things that I have on this that aren't built into Atom is I have like a select, whenever I select a specific trait, like HR, it highlights all of them. Whichever line I'm on, it highlights the line. Essentially anything you can think of that you can customize is available on Atom, and obviously you can build out your own stuff. And one more thing I'll show you guys, and if you guys have any questions, like I said, this is going to be a quick talk, is an auto indent. And another thing, as you can see all these lines right here for your indentation, that's actually a plugin for Atom, so I can actually see my indentation. But like if I hit Shift Command I, it automatically indents everything for me instead of having to go through it. Really anything you could think of, from the stupidest thing to like a huge thing like linters and everything else. Like I have Rubocop installed right now. And like if I were to just do like define create, as you can see, the program yells at me because I don't have an end and my indentations are mismatched, it's telling me. And one more thing while I'm thinking of it is I also have a program, I forget what it's called to be honest, that allows me to check what the ends correspond with. So if I click this end, it's with the freelancer's controller itself. If I hit this end, it's telling me it's with define index. If you look it up, you can really, I've been using Atom for about 2 months and I am constantly changing it. So really, just whatever you're doing, like me and Ben right now are working on a site that has HAML, which is why I have that HAML converter instead of having to go to the website each time. I think that's really it. So
Hey Joe, I have a question.
what?
How did you determine that Atom is slower than Sublime Text?
Everyone was honestly, everyone was complaining about it because I didn't use Sublime because you were the one that told me to use Atom. I used Sublime for about 3 weeks in Firehose, and then I moved over to Atom. But that's kind of the thing is like if you look it up, like the differences between Atom is everyone complains about the speed of Atom. They've made changes, I guess, but.
So have you heard of the Atom plugin that is like the Sublime Nagware, where every like 10 saves it pops up an annoying thing?
Oh, really?
Somebody built it.
The Asteroid one.
What's the asteroid one?
You can play asteroids on Sublime.
That's so cool.
Excuse me, Atom.
Cool, good stuff. Does anybody have any questions for Joe?
Have you used Ruby Test yet?
No, I just use
That's-
Rubicop right now.
Yeah, if you start getting more heavy into testing, it's actually a pretty slick package. You can run your tests straight from Atom. So if you have the specific file, say if you're running your controller tests, you don't want to run your entire test suite, you can just run straight from that file. So you don't have to switch over to a console and run your tests. If you're doing rapid deployments and rapid coding, it's pretty slick.
Yeah, that's one of the things I tried to stay away from, to be honest, with Atom. I don't know why, for whatever reason, because I like using my terminal, is like they have a bunch of Git things in it too, where you can just push to Git from Atom. They also have like a Vim emulator, which I'm not even going to touch. But
I've seen some issues with Ruby Test when you're dealing with API-based stuff. So if it's not really, like the code base I was working on was like not your typical code base. So sometimes Ruby Test would just like puke and not want to deal with it at all. But for like simple testing and stuff, it works pretty sweet. You just got to up your RAM and then you'll be fine. You can run everything from there.
yeah.
It's well because it's built on top of Chromium, so that's why, you know.
Well, cool, good stuff. Does anybody else have any other questions for Joe?
I have a quick edit or add to it. Like the one thing that, I mean, I'm not using Atom, but the one thing that I think is really nice that you see your branches within your editor. So you don't have to go to do like a Git branch or something to see which one it is. You know that inside of Atom. Do you use that a lot? Do you actually realize that it saves you time because you don't have to check which branches you're on when you're switching back and forth?
Yeah, I know in the bottom, I'm always aware in the bottom right corner that I have that Git branch. That's the one thing that really drew me to Atom, was the fact that all the Git stuff automatically built in.
That you can see that, yeah.
And also it actually tells you your Git differences in the bottom right corner also, which I forgot to mention. Right next to your branch, it tells you your lines that you changed.
Yeah, super cool. It's a cool editor for sure. Well, cool. Let's jump into the next talk. So I think, Colin, I think you're up next to talk about building commenting systems in Jekyll.
Yeah, so hopefully this will be a quick talk. It's been a while since I set this up. So let's see here. It's been a while since I gave a talk too, obviously. All right. So just some simple slides. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, my talk's going to be on just adding a commenting system to Jekyll specifically in this case, but with using Discuss, it's super easy to add it to basically anything. So why would you want a commenting system? I think it's pretty obvious. A lot of us are blogging and doing all that kind of stuff. And it's highly recommended for new developers to start writing and doing things like that. But for the most part, a lot of people don't add commenting sections, or if you use Jekyll, it doesn't have a built-in commenting system. So when you add comments to your websites, either through products that you're selling, services you're selling, your own blog, you want to open up a dialogue with your fans or your customers. And that kind of gives you some access. It makes you more personable. It makes you more human. So statistically speaking, when you appeal that way, you'll get more people using your services. So, and the easiest way to do this is by using Discuss. It's pretty popular for simple commenting systems. It's 100% JavaScript based. It's a web service, so you don't actually really have to install much at all. So it makes life very easy to set up. And now we're gonna start the live demo. So let's see here. I already signed up for Discuss, so I'll just show you how to get started with this. So what we'll need to do, well, basically, I'll show you what we're gonna do first. So if anybody hasn't seen the community Firehose page, this is it. And what we have is the Discuss commenting system here. So this is what we want to build out. This is what we want to implement, and it's just super easy to do. So I've already signed up for an account. We're just going to go into our settings here, click Add Discuss to Site, start using Engage. You just fill in this stuff. We're going to have a tech blog. It's probably going to yell at me because somebody's probably used this already. So then you get to this page, and as you can see, there's a lot of support for different systems to make it even easier. I don't know why some of these have them, considering that all of them already have commenting systems, but what we want is the universal code, and this is what you need. This is the only piece of information you need out of this whole thing. Just copy it. We're going to go over, I just set up this Jekyll blog, so I just start it quick. You can just see it's just a really basic. It's the new, new Jekyll blog. If nobody's set this up, this is just what it comes as out of the box. So what we're going to do is add a comment section to this. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go over to layouts, and then in post, we're going to add that JavaScript that we just copied. This is 100% JavaScript, so just going to add that. And we want this after our content, which if you've used Jekyll, then you'll be a little bit more familiar with this. If not, there's plenty of resources. We've got some great blog posts on the community sites about it. And then up here, we want to add our front matter. Set comments to true. And say if we have page.comments. So if the page, if comments is true on the page, then it will display the comment section. If it's not, then it won't display it. Should refresh. And now we have a comment section. And that is literally all there is to it. So if anybody has questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Piece of cake. Good stuff, Colin. That's awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Colin? I've used Discuss a little bit myself. It's really awesome. Big fan of it. It's a cool service.
There's more customization you can go into it, but that is the simplest out of the gate commenting section. So if you guys are trying to implement a comment section in a Rails app or anything like that, it's super simple just to jump in there. It took me maybe 20-30 minutes the first time around to figure it out. Once I figured it out, it was super simple from there on out. You can customize, what it looks like to some extent. You could add your own custom logos. If you want to see a more in-depth example, you can go to the community page and look at the GitHub on there because it has some examples of it.
Cool. Good stuff.
I have one question. What are alternatives to Discuss? Do you have anything else that you try to use? Or is it clearly the best one? So it's like, don't even bother.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily the best one because that's subjective, but there's just a ton of websites that use it. So if you set it up, it just kind of goes across everything. A lot of people have, if you want to make a comment, you'll go to a news post or something like that, and you want to comment on it. The likelihood that in their comment section it's going to be discussed is pretty high. So you've already got most likely an account with it, so it'll be easy for your end user to make that comment without having to sign up for an account. As far as Jekyll goes, it's I'd say the best solution. I think it's the only solution to even look into, because Jekyll doesn't have a database. So to create your own commenting section, to create your own, install a gem and do all that stuff, I think you can do it, but it's more hassle than what it's worth.
Cool. Good stuff. All right. So next up we have John. So John's going to have the getting paid. What everybody is probably interested in is like, how can you make money off this? So yeah, John, why don't you take it away and tell us how to get paid?
How to make that money? Okay, let's go.
Oh boy.
Okay, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay, great. So my talk is on getting paid, freelance web development, aka how to hustle and grind. So a little introduction. I previously started a small business, which is still around. So I have a kind of an insider perspective when you want to deal or how to deal with small businesses. Currently, I'm working on building some startup and doing some freelance work so I can get paid. And I was a panelist for the Mobile Development Day conference where I spoke about entrepreneurship. So here's a roadmap for this talk. First, I'm going to talk about mindsets, and then channels, and then sales. Okay, so first I will say that freelancing is not for everyone. So your success will pretty much be determined by your ability to hustle and grind. So I define hustling as being comfortable doing unfamiliar things, which is what you're going to be doing all the time. And then grinding as being comfortable doing repetitive activities to the point of monotony. So that's what I consider discipline. So part one, mindsets. So the first thing you have to do is you have to stop thinking like a web developer. You have to start thinking like a small business owner. And that means just toss away all the jargon. There's no point when you're selling to small businesses to be talking about the technicalities of it, to be talking about Ruby, all these different things that you can do as a hacker. Just throw that out of the window. You want to put yourself in the shoes of a small business owner. And so what that means is don't think when you're pricing your work, don't talk about it in terms of how many hours it's going to take you to do it. And then, based off of your costs, you want to think about when you're doing these kinds of projects in terms of what value or what value you can provide to the small business owner. And so you want to be talking about in terms of their bottom line. So it's not about building a website. It's about improving sales and helping them grow their business. Okay, so as an example, I live in Champaign, which is a small micro-urban town. And so a small business here makes about 20 to 50K in monthly gross revenue. So that's before costs. So if you can improve their business by 4%, so if just taking an average of 30K, that means that on a monthly basis, they'll be making about $1,200 more in a single month. So you can kind of do the math from there. So you can really help grow a small business's revenue. So why did I use 4%? Well, it's a really, really arbitrary number, and it's a really, really low floor. So actually, I believe that if you can do your job correctly, you can really, really improve the business past that. So here's some examples, just some stats that I pulled off the internet. So 75% of consumers choose a restaurant based on search results, and actually 65% of consumers will not go to a restaurant that does not have their menu online. So customer relationship management is basically tools that allow small businesses to keep track of their clients, progress and work. And a lot of small businesses don't have that because small business owners are not very tech savvy. So if you can implement a CRM system for them, either building one through a Rails gem, or kind of plugging in Salesforce or something like that, you can really improve their productivity by 30%. And AdWords. So AdWords is so for instance, my business, we fixed phones. So plugging in AdWords through Google, we actually saw a 3x return on investment each month. So that meant when we put in $500 for AdWords, we saw about $1,500 in increased profits. So again, there's a lot of things that you can do to help small businesses that are just not very fluent about the internet. So that means increased money. So you can add a lot of value given the skill sets that you already have. So part 2, channels. So you want to experiment with new and different things and look where no one else is looking. So an example of that is Angie's List. There's a lot of businesses that are just on Angie's List, which is kind of like a paid Yelp, where the only people that can see it are people that are already paying. So these businesses, there's some businesses that get all their business from Angie's List, which is crazy because they don't have a public site. So giving them a site, you can really help their revenue, maybe 2x it within like a 3-month period. Phone book. There's Yellow Pages that businesses pay like a couple $1,000s for. Yes, there are people that still use the Yellow Book. Go look through there, find businesses and call them up and kind of do some sales from there. Join your local chamber of commerce. And also you can look into kind of domain specific conferences where it's a bunch of insiders in a specific industry and kind of network and talk with them. Those are more warm introductions, which will help you out a lot. Okay, so question, how can you leverage technology to improve your clients' revenue? There's a lot of ways. So improve sales. This is easy, building a website, marketing, drive traffic. But you can also optimize efficiency by automating tasks. An example of that is a CRM system, but there's others depending on the small business. You can reduce costs by cutting out the middleman. So for instance, if a restaurant currently uses Grubhub takes 15%. If you can build an online ordering system for them, that just increased their revenue by 15%. Okay, scaling. This can be helping them with hiring or converting their current business to digital. And so one of the key things you want to be thinking about is what are their current goals. So some people want to improve sales. Some people cannot hire enough people. And that means you want to be trying to get their business online, putting AdWords up, putting them on, all the different kind of hiring platforms. So there's 2 kinds of businesses. There's impulse businesses and destination businesses. So an impulse business is like a restaurant. Someone walks by it and they go in. Destination businesses are like service types things. Your plumbing breaks, you go online and you look for plumbing. So you want to target destination businesses because building an online site, those are the ones that people will be going towards. So part 3 is sales. So warm introduction versus cold calling. So how do you get warm intros? Pretty much a very easy example is to be a customer. People are more willing to talk to you if you're a customer of them. So you're getting your haircut, talk to the people in the salon. Leverage past clients. You want to build relationship with the people that you worked with and ask them and to get referrals. Again, attend domain specific events and just be outgoing. Cold calling. Okay, so if you're doing cold calling, first thing you want to do is research. Research the business. Figure out what if they have a current website. Figure out what other websites are. What other competitors have websites, and kind of go from there. And always, before you go into a meeting, have suggestions about how you can improve their current site if they already have one. So you're kind of more already in the loop. Be confident. As a small business owner, when people came in to talk to us, if they weren't confident, you kind of just dismiss them. You hand them off to one of your employees and you just say the manager is not here. You want to be listening. A lot of times when people begin selling things, as a beginner, you're always talking about what you can offer, 50% of the time, you need to be listening to what they want and being able to mold what you can offer to them in terms of what they want. And then you can also just kind of learn basic sales. This is things like tonality, rhythm, and language patterns. Okay, so grind. So you want to be persistent when you're talking to these people. The sale begins when the customer says no. So that's one of my favorite quotes about sales. You want to be following up with all these people. And what I mean by that is when you send out your first email, they might not respond. And that's just that could just mainly be because that small business owners are really, really busy. So you want to follow up 2-3 times before you really want to consider giving up. And so you want to also direct communications. And what I mean by that is instead of handing out business cards and hoping for people to call you, that's not going to happen. You want to get business cards. You want to keep the ball in your court, and you want to be putting the burden on yourself. Okay, so again, build relationships. That's most important. Small business owners are not, a lot of them don't really care about the technicalities of it. It's not logical. It's based on, can they trust you, and are you a reasonable person that they can work with? And also, don't get lost in the details. You want to sell them on the big vision, how the services you can provide can make their life a lot easier and help them grow their business and, be a trustworthy person. And that's the lightning talk. Thanks for watching, guys.
Super good, John. I feel like everybody has a bunch of questions. Does anybody have any questions for John?
When you went out and started getting what'd you do to get your first, say, handful of clients? Did you go at a very low rate to try and attract them, or give the service away for free just to build a portfolio and a name?
Yeah, so I was kind of fortunate in that I already had a small business that was kind of tech related. So we had a lot of people, incoming traffic, even though we didn't really do any advertising. But you could just walk around to local businesses and offer to do some work for them. Sometimes you might want, lower costs are very important, especially when you're starting out. But as you kind of just develop, you're just going to get more and more referrals coming in. But yeah, there's just, again, kind of all the different ways I listed before are really good things to start off with.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's basically in my area, there's one major web design company, and they've recently landed some pretty huge clients that have basically made their company 20 times more profitable than they were just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So now all the companies that they had started with, all the small businesses that they started with, have all really antiquated websites. And they're just not mobile responsive and stuff like that. So what I've been doing is I've been searching for copyright the design company, and then just look for the ones that aren't mobile responsive. And then I'll go in and talk to them and say, hey, you're getting hit with these, Google search results, because now Google search results, if it's not mobile responsive, they knock you down a couple pegs. So you're spending money on AdWords, but now you're getting knocked down a couple pegs because you don't have a mobile site. And I think that's a great approach to finding new companies.
Yeah, definitely. What I've noticed, I've talked to some of the design firms around me, and a lot of them are backed up by work. So, kind of just, I'm guessing that they have so much work that they're just going for enterprise clients. And I think there's a really big market out there right now for freelance web work, which, if you're doing a startup, whatever, it's a really good way to kind of get some cash coming in.
Now, do you do web design or web hosting too, or do you do a recurring subscription fee? For instance, sometimes some of the web design firms, what's the best approach for just starting out? Do you just do the...
Yeah, so that really all depends on the client, and it kind of depends on how you want to spin it. So, a lot of small businesses, $3,000-$4,000 up front is not something that they're willing to pay for. So you want to get a payment schedule going, maybe $300 a month or something like that. And you always want to be following up with them and trying to do more work for them, because you want to pretty much try to be their tech person, be their CTO.
Right.
John, do you have a website for this particular, the freelance type stuff, or do you just use this normal website that you have for your other business?
I don't have a website. That's kind of in the works right now. But I've never gotten around to it just because, I've been busy building other things. And it hasn't really been a problem. I think that, especially with the kind of clients that you want to be targeting are kind of the ones that don't have websites currently. And those are the people that might not be going online to be searching for people that can build them a website.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty fascinating, because I feel like a lot of people starting out are oh, but I need to get my website perfect before I get a sale. Meanwhile, you're up here being I don't even have a website, but I know how to get all these sales. And it's maybe you should just start hustling and grinding the way that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's spot on. It's like you can either spend another 10 hours behind your computer making sure that it looks perfect on the last mobile screen that you can find, or you could go do 3 meetups and already have 5 businesses in the pocket in the same amount of time. So it's all about the hustle, going out and being where it's uncomfortable. So if you feel comfortable building a simple website, like a one-pager, with maybe even a theme and making it responsive, where it's already baked in and hosting it on GitHub Pages, then it's time to flip it around and be where you're not comfortable with it, standing and talking to a small business owner and being hey, I can make your website. And that will feel really awkward, but you need to learn how to do that too.
And if you don't have like a passion project where you're using to grow your skill set, like this is a really great way to get a passion project and get paid at the same time to learn. And that's what I've kind of been doing over the past couple months, and it's working out pretty well.
So have you, like, what types of the businesses, or like what type of projects have you found most lucrative? Because you kind of touched on a few different ones. You talked about like the CRM type stuff, automating processes they had. The Grubhub one was something that's really interesting. I'm not sure if that was actually an example that you actually had, or if it was just something that you just kind of came up with. Like, what do you think is the sweet spot, or is it just like, just listen and do whatever?
Well, you definitely want to go for clients where they have a high return on investment on a client basis. So for instance, a restaurant has low margins. So even if you can bring them 50 more customers, that's like maybe like $3 per customer. On the other hand, if you're going for like, contract, like people that have like construction, painting companies, plumbing, they're going to get more return per customer, which means that you can help them out a lot more.
So basically go more to the more traditional, like you go, the better. It's like restaurants is like all over the place. But if you go to like, I can also imagine, it's like a plumber or something like that will not have a responsive website that actually, it makes it easy for people to call them and figure everything out.
And it's not just that, like, I think that like plumbing and those kinds of things that like those industries in like a small town or whatever, or a medium-sized town in general, their websites are going to be pretty bad. So if you can just build them a website, it's going to help their business a lot more, especially because when something breaks, you're going online and you're searching for help on plumbing, and no one has a website.
Totally. You're probably not going to pull out the yellow phone book, or I don't even own one.
So last question from me. Do you do all the design and stuff like that yourself, or do you buy like pre-made themes and just kind of like kind of sell somebody else's work, but like you're giving the service of actually knowing where to go and like how to package it together and how to host it and all that?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another approach you can take. I did do the designs myself because I also kind of view it as a learning process to design things. So I'm kind of getting paid to learn to design. So I might as well as do it. And it makes you more flexible because somebody might want something specific, something changed up, and you can kind of do all of that yourself.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, the only thing that I kind of outsource is copywriting. I think having a website with good copywriting is very important. So you can find someone on Reddit to kind of do that. Also, I think what makes a website really good is having good pictures. It's very easy to find photographers, and it'll just bring your website to the next level.
Cool. Super good tips. Does anybody else have any other questions for John? Cool. Good stuff. Well, thanks so much for the talk. It was super fascinating to see how to go and get paid for your service. So good stuff. Thanks for giving the talk.
Yep.
Cool. And the last person we have, I don't know if they're here. So Nehemia, who looks like he's not here. So it looks like we're not going to have the final talk, which is a little unfortunate, but maybe he can come and give a talk next time. So Colin, do you want to sort of maybe announce the next upcoming lightning talks that we're going to have?
Yeah, absolutely. We originally had it scheduled for the 5th, but I think it's just getting a little bit too difficult to run it every 2 weeks with a fresh crew of people. It needs some time to get people learning and getting excited for the lightning talk. So I think we're going to try and do it once a month, I think is the best approach. So the next lightning talks will be the 19th. We already have one person signed up, so there's 4 more slots available. I'll probably keep it open for Nehemia if he wants to do it. Otherwise, if you are interested, if you go to the Firehose Lightning site, and I'm slacking on my links here.
I got it.
Damn it. You can go there, and there is already a pre-built list. That one actually has a link. There's a pre-built list there with talk topics that people have been interested in that they submitted. So if you don't actually want to give a talk, go there and submit a new topic. That keeps the list fresh, and it gives people who do want to give talks but don't know what they want to talk about options to talk about. So just go there, sign up, add a new topic, assign a topic to yourself if you want to give that topic, and just let me know when you assign it so I can schedule it and kind of go from there. But it's a great way for you to have some content online for potential employers to see that you are serious and you're interested about doing development and interested in learning things. So it's kind of a great way of doing that. And it gets you talking about technology in front of people, and that'll help you in interviews and just in general, because once you get into a business environment, or if you want to do freelance, you got to be comfortable talking to complete strangers. So it's a great way to get you feeling more confident about what you're talking about.
Research the company that you want to work for, and then do a lightning talk about one of their products or services.
That is a very smart idea, and all I've ever done is picked open source, so that doesn't say much about me.
Cool. Well, good stuff. So, yeah, this has been another successful lightning talk, or series of lightning talks. Super, super interesting. Thanks for everybody who gave them. Thanks to everybody who came. It means a lot, the fact that you come, and it's really wonderful to learn from all you guys and find out about all this stuff. So I guess thanks everybody for coming. And like Colin said, the next one is going to be in a few weeks, the 19th, it looks like, Thursday, same time, same channel. And we'll talk to you then. So thanks so much for coming. And yeah, we'll see you probably in office hours next week. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.